Welcome back, everyone, to another interview from the Draw Control podcast. On today's episode, I'm joined by Denver women's lacrosse player Raegan Wilson. In her lacrosse career, Reagan has played in 64 games and has scored 62 goals, has 46 assists, 21 ground balls, 11 caused turnovers, and 63 draw controls. This helped Denver win the Big East championship 4 times in Reagan's career, as well as a Final Four appearance. Reagan also earned Big East All-Tournament team honors and was with Team Canada as an alternate in its silver medal win at the 2022 World Lacrosse Women's Championships. I'm super excited to have her on the podcast today. So, Reagan, thank you so much for taking time out of your day and coming on. How's everything going?
It's been good. We're currently in finals right now, so it's pretty crazy, but it's bittersweet to be done with school and lacrosse. But it's also been really fun to navigate this kind of new chapter of my life.
Yeah, well, obviously your season just wrapped up. So, overall, what'd you take away from your final year of college lacrosse as you reflect on what was?
Yeah, I think this final season in my career, just in general, has taught me a lot of resilience with the injuries that I've faced, but also being grateful for what I do have. This final year was my first normal year of lacrosse, and it was my fifth year, which was really crazy to kind of look back on and reflect. But it made me love lacrosse so much more because I was able to be healthy and have so much fun all year long with my teammates. Um, as a senior, I also felt there was a responsibility, obviously, to lead as a captain on and off the field, but it was so rewarding being able to be with my best friends every day and lead them. Um, and I've just learned that lacrosse is so much more than winning and losing. It's about the people that you're with and the growth that you experience and the legacy that you leave behind. And I'm going to look back on the past 5 years I've been at DU and smile every day about it. And I'm so glad I was able to do it here in Denver.
Yeah, it seemed like this past year there was a lot more younger players on the team compared to the first 4 years you were with them. Is that correct? So that must have made leadership even more fun for you.
Yeah, it was definitely really different. I was also a captain last year, my senior year. So having almost like a whole new team and new people I was leading with and leading was definitely a big adjustment, but it was really fun having so many new faces and such like a young group of girls. So yeah, I'm really excited for the future for them.
Now, what are your post plans past graduation, and do you still plan on being involved with lacrosse in the future?
I mean, yeah, I hope to. I love coaching. I love working with people. I mean, I still love playing, obviously, but I hope to stay involved and I plan to, whether it's coaching, mentoring people, or still being able to play in some sort of capacity, whether it's with Team Canada or whatnot. Um, it's lacrosse has shaped me as a person, and I hopefully will be able to carry all my relationships that I've formed like forward. But other than that, I'm planning on going to dental school, so that will be really exciting. But I still will always plan to find time for lacrosse.
Nice. You gotta have like an all dentist league or something in the future. That would be a lot of fun. So,
Yeah.
well, I want to transition and sort of start off the pod talking about, the beginning of your career and sort of working all the way up to where you are now. So it says in your bio that you're from Milton, Ontario. Talk about growing up there and how'd you start playing lacrosse because it says that you initially started playing box lacrosse before field.
Yeah, so I grew up in a small town just outside of Toronto, which was very cool experience, especially coming to the United States for school the past 5 years. I started playing one day just because my brother had played and he was just playing like in a rec league, and I decided I wanted to try it. But now, luckily for a lot of girls, there is a lot of opportunities to play field lacrosse. But when I started, when I was growing up, there wasn't. So I was the only girl on my all guys box team from when I was in Pee Wee to Bantam, which is a few years. And I honestly only started playing field lacrosse when I was in seventh grade. So yeah, I just started playing box. That's what a lot of people do. That's what all the guys do. They still all do. But the few girls that were near me, that's what we all did. And we just played for our respective club teams. And then finally, when the boys get too big and it's time to look at other options, that's when I kind of transitioned towards field lacrosse. Yeah, I think it also helps a lot with like developing skills and whatnot in
Hmm.
field lacrosse because it's such a different game and there's so much more space in comparison to box. So I think it develops a lot of Canadians, which is what we're known for, our box skills. Yeah.
Growing up, who's like your favorite lacrosse player or team that you like to watch?
Growing up, my idol was definitely Dana Dobie. I think a lot of Canadian girls lacrosse players can say that. She's just a legend. She's the GOAT. Watching her play with so much creativity growing up has just inspired so many people, including myself. And I think it was a very big, like, full circle moment when at World Cup in 2022 in Baltimore, we were teammates, and she was actually my like team buddy, and it was like a secret the whole like time we were at World Cup. And then the last day of World Cup, we had to like reveal ourselves, and I revealed myself by printing out a photo of us from when I was, oh gosh, I was probably 8, and it was her when she was playing at World Cup in Oshawa like years and years ago. So it was really cool to be able to look up to somebody so much and aspire to be like them, and then be able to be teammates with them. So definitely her growing up. A team that I probably was my most favorite growing up was probably just the Toronto Rock. Just growing up as a kid, like that was the it team, and everybody aspired to be the best they could and best lacrosse player they could, and that was kind of the best we had all around us. So probably the Rock.
Now, before college, you played for the Oakville Lady Hawks lacrosse club. Talk about your time there. What's like your favorite memory with that team, looking back on it now?
Yeah. So I started playing for the Lady Hawks when I was, I think, in seventh grade. And I had just come right from box. And it was like the first time I've ever used a field stick. And I remember going to tryouts, and I was really scared because all the girls could use a field stick really well, and I was very confused. But I picked it up really quick, made the team, and then ever since then it was just Lady Hawks all the way. But definitely my favorite memories are playing with my some of my closest teammates. I've met some of my best friends to this day on that team and those teams and with that club. And I think just seeing us all grow as people and as players, from playing from with this little small club team that was once nothing to winning, going to provincials and winning silver medals, and also us going on to play Team Canada is something so rewarding. And I think just like the coaches that have mentored me since I was like a little girl to my best friends that I'm still friends with today are probably my greatest memories that I have with them.
Now, you got to represent Canada in the 2019 U19 World Championships. Talk about that experience and what it's like playing for your country. Obviously, you got to play in the Women's World Championships as well a few years later, but is it really cool getting to put on the maple leaf and represent your country on such a high stage like that?
Yeah, definitely. I think as a kid, everybody grows up in sports hoping to play for their country one day. So definitely when it happened, it was very surreal. Um, Being able to put on a Canada jersey is something that isn't even able to be described. Standing there in line, like while your anthem plays, it's like goosebumps all over. It's so much fun. I think it's just also really rewarding because it's like the highest you can get for your country and for yourself and your teammates. But it's really hard to put into words what it truly means to represent something so much bigger than yourself. It's still one of the best experiences with lacrosse I've ever had in my life. And it's something I'll remember forever. But yeah, it's definitely very rewarding. It was really tough, but it's so much fun when you do it with all of your best friends.
So let's talk about your recruiting process now. What was that like for yourself, and I guess what made Denver the place for you versus other schools you might have looked at?
Yeah. I mean, the moment that I stepped on campus, it was Denver was my first ever visit. But the first time I stepped on campus, I knew it was home and I knew I loved it. It's definitely a lot different than other schools when you see like big ACC schools or Big Ten or whatever it might be out east. But I like to describe it as a home away from home. It's very similar to Canada, which is, I think, why it's so awesome and why it felt like home for me. But living in Denver is the best of both worlds. You have the city right beside you, you have the mountains, you have a college campus. And I really don't think I could like make it sound any better. It's the best place on earth, and I'm gonna miss Denver so much. But I just knew that when I stepped on campus, Coach Liza, she's one of the best people I've ever met in my entire life, and I owe so much to her for bringing me here and giving me the opportunity to play here. But it wasn't for me just about lacrosse. It was about the person I was going to become. And I knew that with her by my side and coaching me that it was going to happen. So Yeah, just the moment I stepped on campus, I knew it was home. And I'll never forget when I called and committed her and she screamed over the phone. Um, I just knew that I made the right decision instantly because she felt like family.
Yeah, and obviously good hockey there too, which I assume
Yeah,
you're happy about that as well. So,
yeah.
what was like the biggest adjustment to college lacrosse when you were a freshman?
Yeah, so my freshman year was very different and difficult than most. It was the year after COVID kind of had canceled everything. So we kind of all came in, we had to social distance, we had dorm rooms to ourselves. So it was definitely a big adjustment just with COVID in general. But I tore my ACL like our second practice my freshman year. So I think my biggest adjustment to college lacrosse was definitely being able to be a person and just be a student and not be an athlete. Because my whole life it was lacrosse, lacrosse, lacrosse. So making that transition for a year and just focusing on myself and my health and my rehab was very big. But into my redshirt freshman year, which was my sophomore year, the biggest adjustment was definitely like the pace, the speed, the physicality. It was definitely like something I've never seen before. Everybody's lacrosse IQ is awesome. Everybody's the best from their club team, the best from their town, the best from their high school. So learning how to like manage being able to play fast and smart was something that was really difficult. But I think also the whole like traveling for lacrosse, the school, it's way harder. Was a really big challenge, but it was a seamless transition by the springtime. But yeah, I think just the pace of everything was definitely what the biggest one was.
Yeah, that was sort of one of my like next questions was obviously you sat out your first year due to an injury. How hard was it not to play that season? And I guess what'd you learn from watching those games from the sideline? But I feel like just hearing your answer, do you think you're a little bit sort of, I know this might sound weird, but grateful it happened because you sort of had that easier transition as a student your first year. So then once you got to play games again as a sophomore, it was much sort of easier to balance academics and lacrosse.
Yeah, definitely. So I sat out my first year and then also the second half of my junior year because I tore my ACL then, my other ACL then. So both of those times really taught me to have a new role on my team, which was really difficult. But also, I look back now and it is so rewarding. And tearing your ACL sucks, doing the rehab, it sucks, especially twice. But they're both things that I look back at that I'm so grateful for that happened. It taught me how to be a leader. It taught me how to be a better teammate. It taught me how to be a better person. But I also think for myself and like internally and mentally that it taught me how to be somebody without lacrosse, which I think is so important for kids growing up and college athletes everywhere is you're still a person without your sport. And I think it's such a big part of our identity that not having it is something so difficult and being able to navigate that is hard, but it's also very rewarding because you are such a great human being, like everybody is. And I think being able to find that without your sport is very fulfilling because that's where a lot of us find our reward and our fulfillment. But yeah, it definitely was heartbreaking both times, but it allowed me to grow as a person, especially my freshman year when I didn't have it, and become a better person before I became a better athlete.
Now, in your freshman year, that I guess redshirt freshman year, you won your first Big East championship over Georgetown in a very incredible game that I think was probably one of the most entertaining games of I can remember from like a Denver lacrosse perspective. But just talk about what that championship meant to you, what you remember from that game, and I guess what was going through your head when Bea scored that incredible OT winner.
Yeah, that game was crazy. It was also really fun because it was the first time Denver has ever hosted it. Um, so we were really excited to be able to win at home. And those pictures, I still look back and having Peter Barton in the Ritchie Center Tower in the back is unreal. And I don't think you can get any cooler Big East pictures, to be honest. But yeah, that game was unreal. I remember all of the nerves, everything. It was so crazy, so exciting. But yeah, when B scored, we should have never, I don't think, been in the position to be in overtime anyways. But when she did score, she's always a person we always leaned on. We still joke about it now, like even my senior year, all of my friends, like sometimes in games when we can't get things going, we're like, we're just waiting for B to do it, even though she's been 3 years gone. Because she was always a person that you could count on and rely on to get things done. So I think when she scored, wasn't a shocker. B's bread and butter, but yeah, it was definitely super exciting and such a cool experience to be able to win at home and not have to travel from out east back home. And it was so awesome to have like all of our friends and our family there too. But yeah, it was definitely um, one of the greatest lacrosse memories I have.
Now, you also had your first tournament experience as well, where you beat Vermont. Just talk about what it was like being in the tournament for the first time and beating a good Vermont team that I think a lot of people, I think, forget about how good that Vermont team was that season.
Yeah, I mean, I think looking back at my first NCAA tournament, my first year of playing, it was something I've dreamed of my whole life of playing in the NCAA tournament and watching it growing up. Obviously, the stakes were high. We had pressure on ourselves, and we had wanted to prove ourselves on that national stage. But it was definitely a really cool experience with all my teammates. Taught me how to enjoy the moment, but also play with intensity and being able to play with poise when we were under pressure. But yeah, very cool experience there.
Now, in your sophomore year, your team had a historic season, winning the Big East championship game again and then heading to the Final Four while only losing one game. I'm curious, how have you reflected on that season now after graduation, especially that tournament run where you guys beat North Carolina on the road? That was like an incredible game, and it has to be like your favorite lacrosse memory with Denver, I imagine.
Yeah, definitely. So that was that year I actually tore my
Oh, okay,
Achilles.
I sophomore year, so I got confused.
Yeah, so I tore my other one, but I was obviously still really present with the team. I didn't actually go to UNC for the Elite Eight, but I had because I just had surgery like 3 days prior. And I will never forget, I was in the car on my way to my PT for my knee, and I was watching the game on ESPN on my phone. And I remember like watching the clock count down and literally just being in tears in the car and being so excited and so happy. Because even though like I wasn't out there, it was still one of the greatest things ever. And then being able to go to the Final Four and be like so involved because after I hurt myself, I really took a different role of like kind of trying to be a coach. If I had an iPad on my in my hand on the sidelines, I was like working the box. So I tried to do something to distract myself from the fact that I wasn't playing, but being so involved, it made me still feel like I had so much to do of making it there. But yeah, it was something like so magical. I can't even put it into words, but very emotional, very cool. And it's something we obviously still talked about to this day. I think it was really hard this year ending the way we did because since then we've just been chasing getting back to the Final Four. Um, it's an experience that is like indescribable and you just want to feel it again. So it obviously sucked ending the way we did this year, but definitely an experience we'll never forget.
What's the Final Four experience like, I guess, off the field? You know, everyone knows what it's like on the field. We see all the camaraderie and all that kind of stuff, but do you get to do anything cool? Did you get cool merch? Like, I'm curious what it's like off the field a little bit.
Yeah, it's definitely really cool. I will never forget walking into our hotel and they had it like all decorated, like Final Four, championship weekend, Memorial Day weekend, something you've never experienced, obviously. So it was definitely really cool. I think also knowing that you're you're part of championship weekend, something so historic, filled on the media, so many fans everywhere, like waiting to see you, take your picture, get your autograph. So it was definitely something that was also really hard to put into words, but just a really cool experience that you like dream of being at and you see so much about in such a historic tournament. So definitely soaked it all in. It's really hard to describe, but it was super, super, super cool.
Now let's talk about this past season, because obviously it was your final year, and I felt like, and this is from a fan perspective, obviously, but this past season seemed like to me your team sort of got off to a slow start, losing the first two games of the season, but then sort of really picked it up after that, highlighted by a big win over Michigan. How did your team sort of navigate that slow start and figure out a way to get big wins early in the season?
I think it was really difficult for us as a team, a leadership group, as captains, as a defensive group, as an attack group, with our slow start. We never expected to lose to Louisville or Ohio State, obviously. You never want to start your season off with two losses. But I think that we also tried to give ourselves a lot of credit because we were a brand new team, and I think there was only a few familiar faces that were on the field, and other than that, it was everybody's first time playing, first year's playing. So definitely a rebuilding year for us, but we managed to figure it out, and it took us a little bit of time to kind of get going. But you don't need to be playing your best lacrosse your first two games of the season. You need to be playing your best lacrosse at the end and in postseason. And I think that's what we did, and I think it kind of was the turning point with our Michigan and our Stanford game. And we just focused on like ourselves and what we needed to do, not the big picture of what people were going to think about us, what we were ranked, how many goals we scored, how many points we had, how many caused turnovers so and so had. So I think that we really all got a little bit angry, had set a fire kind of under our butts, and focus on the little things, and it really allowed us to just like come out and get the job done.
What's it like playing in the Big East? I feel like not many people sort of talk about that conference enough, but you guys have some good teams, and especially from your perspective, I'm just curious what it's like sort of being all the way out there competing against those teams out on
Yeah.
the East Coast.
I think it's really funny actually because a lot of the times we'll see like we travel on as a team on a plane, and we're always flying out east, always flying back, and people are always asking us about our games and stuff. And telling them that we're in the Big East is really funny because we are the furthest thing from East, but it's very cool getting to go see like such awesome schools in like UConn, Georgetown, Marquette. They're just such like well-known Big East schools, and being able to see their facilities is really awesome. I think though a lot of people underestimate the competitive and the grittiness of the Big East because we all have something to prove all the time. So when we play each other, they're intense, they're rivalry games, and it's conference, so it just pushes you. But it's super fun. Um, the games are always so fulfilling, whether you win or you lose. And the Big East tournament is something that is so awesome and that we all take so deeply and like care about so deeply. So I think it's really awesome knowing that like at the end of the day, everybody's putting their best foot forward, and it's always a battle. It's always a grind in whatever game we play.
Well, when I was talking to Alex Dorr, she said she actually likes some of those East Coast games because her family, it's actually easier for her family to see road games than it is to go to home games. So I assume you have a lot of East Coast players on who are on your team, so it must be easy for them as well.
Yeah, definitely. And we always joke around that when we go to Georgetown and we play that our side of the like field is bigger than the Georgetown side because it's a lot of the time the only time a lot of our family and friends can come
Yeah.
to our games because it's right outside of DC. So yeah, it's really awesome being able to play out east though and having such so much support from everybody.
Now, towards the end of the season, your team suffered a tough loss in overtime against UConn, but then you guys bounced back, beating ninth-ranked Stanford. I want to ask, what did you learn from that game against UConn that you think helped you in your win over Stanford, and then obviously heading into the Big East tournament as well?
Yeah, I think it was a that was a very tough game for a lot of us emotionally. It was the first Big East loss any of us have ever experienced, me included, in 5 whole years. So it was definitely something really hard to navigate. It was very frustrating, but I think realizing that we didn't need to win that game, it was all that like mattered. Obviously, it would have been nice to have a win and not have a loss, but at the end of the day, it didn't really mean much for our Big East tournament because we knew we still had a chance to prove ourselves and win and get a ticket punched to postseason. I think it was also just something that kind of brought us back to the beginning of the season of that we need to focus on the little things and focus on ourselves and us as units before we can be upset about losing, and we have to execute. So that really allowed us to do that, allowed us to focus on what we needed to do for Stanford, and then it ended up bringing us out on top, which was very rewarding.
What would you say has been the biggest improvement you've made to your game during your time with Denver?
I think the biggest improvement would be my lacrosse IQ, but also being able to slow things down and focus on smaller things. Growing up, I always played midfield, and when I came in, I played midfield, and then I kind of transitioned to attack after my first knee injury, and then was transitioned back to midfield, and then transitioned back to attack this year. So it's definitely really difficult, like kind of bouncing back and forth. But something Liz has always said is that I'm so versatile, and I really take that like to heart of like I can do anything that they ask me to. But I think then focusing on like such little things of just playing attack makes it really difficult. But being able to slow the game down and like read defenses better, being able to be a better leader are all something that are all things that have helped me become a better and smarter composed player.
Now, your team beat Georgetown and Villanova to win the Big East championship once again. Talk about those playoff games and especially what it was like winning the Big East, knowing that it was your final time to do that, but also knowing that you won it every year you played with Denver. That's really cool to say.
Yeah. No, it was definitely really cool. The Big East was very competitive this year, and we knew going into tournament time that it was going to be a grind, but I had no doubt in our minds that we had no doubt in our minds that we were going to win and we were going to come out with our fifth consecutive championship and our fifth consecutive trophy. Um, Honestly, the tournament feels like a blur. We kind of just all put our heads down and just like kind of grinded. On attack, I feel like we had um, like a six-headed monster in our whole unit. And when people got shut off, whether it was me, whether it was Olivia Ripple, whether it was Lauren Black, whether it was Eva, somebody found a way to step up and make a play happen. And I think it was so fun just knowing that every time we got the ball, we didn't have any worry about not putting it in the back of the net. But yeah, it was definitely really fun. Yeah, it was just like a blur. All I remember is us winning, jumping on our goalie, and then I remember grabbing the trophy and bringing it over to Liza, and I was like number 5, and she was like, "Yep, I can't believe it's been 5 years. Like it's crazy." But yeah, it was super fun. Definitely very rewarding.
Now, in the tournament game, you guys lost to Stanford. What emotions were you going through after that game was done, knowing that was your final game of your career?
Yeah, definitely really emotional. I don't think I still have fully processed it. It was just really hard because it's kind of the closing of a 15-year career for myself, which was really hard to walk away from because lacrosse has been such a big part of my life for so long. But it was really tough because we haven't lost to Stanford in 9 years. So I think we kind of just all expected to win, and then it not happening was really difficult. But it was a battle heavy game, definitely very tough. But yeah, I'll never forget that field at Florida. Never want to go back there and have to reminisce on what I experienced. But um, definitely a bittersweet moment walking off the field. It was sad to be done and sad to have closed the chapter, but also exciting because we did accomplish so much and we have to be proud of that. There was a lot of tears, but a lot of also happiness because I gave everything I had to DU. And I walked off the field with the most part with no regrets of the time that I spent here and everything I gave. So, yeah.
Well, let's transition now to a segment I like to call the non-lacrosse segment, where I ask you non-lacrosse questions to get to know you more off the field. And I'll answer these as well, so it can be a fun sort of conversation. So the first one is, what's the best concert you've ever been to?
Oh, I think we've been really blessed in Denver with very cool venues and like Rocks and Mile High. And a lot of people come to perform here. But I think the best concert I've ever been to would probably have to be Zach Bryan at Red Rocks. I got to be there when it snowed, that like legendary concert that he recorded, and it was viral, snowing everywhere. So definitely that. It was really, really, really cool.
That's awesome. Alex Dorr said she's never
Yeah.
been to a concert before. I thought that was crazy, especially with Red Rocks near it.
Yeah. Classic door.
Now, my favorite concert probably Blink-182. That was a lot of fun seeing them. Big fan of a lot of their songs, so that's what I'll pick. Now, if you could have lunch with anyone in the world, who would it be and why?
Ooh. I think I'd have to pick Serena Williams. I think as a female in sports, I've always looked up to her. She's the goat of goats. Um, yeah, her work ethic, everything, and from tennis, I'd love to have a conversation with her and just like chat about her life. I think it'd be really cool.
I would say for me, another GOAT, Tom Brady, just because he went through a lot of adversity in his career and sort of became one of the best football players of all time. And obviously, I'm a big Patriots fan as well, so it'd just be cool to like talk to him about all those memories and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Now, what's been the most interesting thing you've read or seen this week?
Well, as I'm finishing my thesis, I'm getting ready to defend it on Thursday. So probably something involved with that. It's just molecular mechanisms of bone remodeling in mouse. So I've seen some gross, gruesome stuff, but probably something along those lines. Haven't really been able to read anything too excited as of
Oh,
late.
okay.
Yeah.
If you want to explain it, I guess, but like I wouldn't know how to
No.
conversate about that to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's not very fun. There's definitely some gross pictures of people's mouths, so it's
Okay.
probably got to be something along that.
Okay. Okay. Hey, no, that's important work though. So even though some people might find it boring, I think it's really important to talk about. So kudos to you for doing that in school. I would say for me, mine's very niche, but the Cape Cod Baseball League starting up this weekend, I think, and really excited for the season. I'm like the Rob Lowe of the Cape Cod Baseball League, big fan of all the teams, and it's just really cool to see like what top college baseball players are going to be
Yeah,
coming there. So, really excited about that. So that's sort of like I'm looking through the rosters and seeing who's on each team. I feel
yeah,
like everyone's always focused on the College World Series, but I'm really excited about the Summer League just because it's
yeah.
the best in a wooden bat league. So that's probably been my most interesting thing I've been reading upon this week.
That's cool. My boyfriend's sister, her boyfriend is playing in it, so
Oh,
that's
what team?
I'm not sure. His name's Carson Tinney. He's a catcher.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm
Yeah,
wearing the Brewster Whitecaps t-shirt right
I
now.
think he might
So,
be playing on that team with
oh,
her.
okay. What a coincidence. What a
Yeah, so there you
coincidence.
go.
Oh,
Keep an lookout
awesome.
for him.
Well, shout out to him. Yeah, no, that's a lot of fun. That's a lot of fun. So, no, it's a great league. So, looking forward to watching
Thanks.
a few games this summer, hopefully. But getting back to your questions now, who has the best style on the Denver women's lacrosse team?
Okay, this is tricky. It depends. If you ask anybody on my team, I think the answers would differ. I think a lot of us would say that Olivia Ripple definitely has the best like closet of like we all want her clothes. But people that I have to admire of like showing up to games or class or whatnot, um, either Ella Collimore, her closet's also awesome, or Alex Dorr. She will show up in the most extravagant things, and I just have to give her props for not caring what people think and just wearing the funniest things ever. She showed up to one of our games in like a Juicy Couture like velvet hot pink set. I was like, you know what? I got to give you kudos to that because I could never do it. But yeah, there's it's a toss up. We have a lot of people on our team that have
Yeah.
pretty good closets.
Do you have the best hat game? I can see it in the background.
Yeah, I probably do. I have a lot of cowboy hats, but
Nice,
um,
nice, nice. Have
collecting
you
them
ever
over
rocked
here.
that before a game at all?
No, I'm too scared to bring them out. They're kind of expensive, so they're
Oh,
just gonna
okay.
stay there and look cute.
You should get like a cheaper one though, so then you can.
I
Or
know.
I
Yeah,
guess you can't anymore, but like if that would have been my suggestion because then that would have been super cool to
yeah,
rock before a game.
definitely. Yeah.
Now, I guess last question is what's one place you would love to travel to soon?
Ooh, definitely Africa. That's something always on the top of my list. It'd be so fun to go on a safari, and see like all those animals. So yeah, definitely Africa.
I would say probably this might I don't know if you've been here before being from Canada, but Banff National Park, I'm assuming it's very touristy, but it looks like a lot of fun and
Yeah,
super beautiful. So that's what I would
so
pick.
pretty.
Now let's get back to one more, I guess a couple more lacrosse questions now. I guess the first one I'll ask, I like to always ask this, is what should be done to help grow women's lacrosse from your perspective?
I think a lot has been done in the past like 4 or 5 years, even since I've been in college, to help grow lacrosse. I think the main thing that can be improved upon is just the media coverage with lacrosse games on ESPN or even on platforms that you don't need to pay for. I think it gets really difficult for younger kids and families and friends to want to watch when you have to pay for 6 different subscriptions. So I think just the availability to and the visibility of the coverage could do so much for college lacrosse, for lacrosse in general. That would make a big difference. People just need to watch us. And if they can't do that, then how is it supposed to grow?
Yeah, I think I know it's probably very hard, but at least like I'm a big college hockey fan as well. So like there's a lot of conferences are on big ESPN Plus. So if like you're a fan of like an East Coast like college hockey team, for the most part, most of their games are going to be on ESPN Plus. Where I
Yeah,
feel like for lacrosse, like if you're a ACC fan, you can only watch all those games on
exactly.
there. But then if you're a Big Ten fan, it's on a different platform, and if
No,
you're a Big East fan, it's on a different
so
platform.
many.
So I
Yeah.
feel like there's like got to be a way to like put it all in like a one platform to make
Agreed.
it easier for people to watch. Like I like what UConn does, where like they have like a free streaming service for all their home
Yeah.
games. So I feel
Mhm.
like something like that would be, I think, more
Yeah.
helpful for fans.
Agreed.
Now, Reagan, do you have any shout outs you want to give to any of your teammates, former teammates, any of your competitors, maybe friends, family? Feel free to give them a shout out. And who should we have on the podcast next?
Shout out to the whole DU lacrosse team. I love them all so much, and I'm gonna miss them all so much, but I can't wait to cheer them on for years to come. But definitely some DU girls. I don't know anybody. I think they'd all be willing to be on here. They're all great, and they'd definitely love to do this.
Awesome, awesome. Well, Reagan, I want to say thank you so much for coming on the podcast and taking time out of your day. It really means a lot to myself. And obviously, wishing you all the best for your finals and dental school as well.
Thank you.
And just enjoy the summer as well. It's going to be a lot of fun, I hope.
Thank you so much. You too.